Hi everyone, I'm Himani Sharma, Senior Brand Marketing Manager at FPSB India, and your host for today's podcast. Money, it's something we all deal with every single day, but honestly, it's also something most of us were never really taught how to handle. And if I think about my early 20s, there were so many questions, so much confusion, and definitely a few mistakes I wish I could avoid. So today's conversation is all about that money talks I wish I had in my 20s, the kind of honest, no jargon conversations that can actually make a difference early on. And to help us navigate this, I am joined by someone who has spent years building individuals make sense of their finances in a very practical way. So let me introduce our guest today, Ms. Neeti Sethi. She is a chartered accountant and a certified financial planner with over 20 years of experience across banking, consulting, and personal finance. She works closely with individuals and families to help them make smarter long term financial decisions and is currently associated with Manak Financial Advisors, a SEBI registered investment advisory. Earlier in her career, she has worked with organizations like Infosys and ICICI Bank and brings a global perspective with exposure across financial hubs like Tokyo, Singapore, Mumbai, and so on. Thank you so much, Neeti, for joining us today. A very warm welcome to you.
Thanks,
Uh,
Imani, for inviting me, and I'm very, very excited to have this conversation with you.
Great. So let's start with something I have always wondered. See, finance is often taught to us as this heavy, complicated, and maths-driven subject. But honestly, it's just a life skill, like cooking or learning to drive. But nobody really speaks about that managing finance is also a life skill you must have. So, like, what are your thoughts about this?
Uh, Honestly, I think Himani, finance has a branding problem. It's a very basic life skill, but we tend to wrap it in these big words, like asset allocation, diversification, inflation, compounding. And then for an average person, it feels like, oh, I don't know this, right? I wish finance was really taught in schools. The basic finance that we need to know was taught in schools. We spend years learning how to make money, but nobody really teaches us what is it we do once we make all that money, right? So we end up overspending, we end up over saving. We would probably pick up tips from friends and colleagues and make investment decisions based on that. So the reason this happens is because we've not been taught those good money habits right from the beginning. Also, I think the other problem is finance often gets positioned as something which is supposedly domain of experts, and it's actually very far from the truth. So at its core, I believe finance is less about maths, and it's more about behavior. And honestly, this is something we should start at home, because young kids pick up a lot of money habits looking at what's happening around them. So if I were to just sum this up for you and strip it down, it's quite simple. Don't spend everything, save some and grow some.
That's really helpful, Neeti, and that's such an interesting way to look at it. And that also makes me curious about your own journey with finance. So, did you always have your finances sorted, or were you also figuring it out as you went? And like, what's one money mistake even you made in your 20s?
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could say that I had it all sorted and I knew it right from day one, but really not. I was trying to figure it out like everybody else. So, one of the mistakes that I remember was to keep waiting to start investing and not having any kind of structure around how I want my investments to be. So I would pick up a random bunch of stocks and trade in them. I also remember buying, a few policies, which I realized much later in life that those were not meant for me at all. I also remember, and this was way back in 2004, and it was a fantastic time to get into real estate. I had the money, I had the opportunity, but I was just not willing to commit to that loan and asset. So, looking back, I think if I had somebody who would have given me some amount of professional guidance at that point in time, just to get started and have these basics moving, I think it would have worked out. somewhat differently than what it is today. I think I've more than made up for it. But I think if I had this guidance in my early 20s, possibly I could have started much better. The other thing which I have done and which I see most people do, and this is not just people in 20s, but even in 30s, 40s, is letting money be in the savings account thinking it is safe. Right. So we don't realize that not investing is also a risk because we know that inflation eats up into our savings, right? So, just to sum up, I think the biggest mistake was waiting to feel ready. You never do. You would agree that doing nothing with money is also a decision, and often that turns out to be the costliest one. So, I don't think in my life I really lost a lot of money, but I definitely lost time, and that's as bad.
I'm so glad that you said that because that was really relatable to me. And, in my 20s, when I first wanted to invest, my first thought was that what if I lose my money and what if I fall into a scam and what if market goes down and where do I even begin? And I think lots of people in their 20s right now feel this way. So for someone standing in that position right now, frozen, confused, what should be their first step?
So I think that feeling is completely valid, more so now than ever before. The world of finance has become so overwhelming, you just don't know where to begin. And fortunately, unfortunately, the internet doesn't help because there is a barrage of ideas and information about what you could be doing with your money, leading up to the situation which you were talking about that I'm frozen and I don't know what to do, right? So I think the first step is take a step back and just forget about investing. First look at your cash flows, look at what is coming into your pocket, what is going out, where is it getting spent, right? The next thing you do is once you have an idea of how that looks like, first create a some sort of emergency fund for yourself, right? Like your 3 months or 6 months expenses, just park it aside in safety, right? Then evaluate, and maybe this is a good starting point for investing, is to just jot down that over the next 3 to 5 years, what are some of the big ticket expenses that you might make? Somebody may want to go for higher studies, someone would want to have possibly a fancy vacation, or just the need to be financially independent, right? So either way, I think it is good to put down those goals and then start investing towards those. Having said that, if there is a person who does not know what I want to do yet, I think just picking up a bunch of good set of mutual funds and getting started is the most important. So, don't wait to feel confident. Confidence comes when you kind of step in, right? So it's an analogy to that is that, I'm looking at a YouTube video teaching me how to swim, so they give all the steps and it looks like, oh, this is so simple. But unless I get into the water and try it out, I really don't know how to swim. So it's pretty much similar with investing. So getting started, according to me, is most important. It's not that you need to know everything there is to know. You will figure out along the way.
Actually, that gives the clarity. But let's just take it, a step further and make it a little practical. So, suppose I'm someone who's just landed my first job and money hits my account. What now? Like, should I be saving, investing? Should I think about insurance right now? Because right now I'm too young. And let's say I'm earning around 50,000 rupees a month. So, how should I realistically, split that?
Sure. I think I remember, Himani, the first time I got the message, when I started working, that salary is credited to your account. That was the best feeling ever. I mean, you may make several times more money, but you can't get that feeling again. Anyway, I think I think a lot of people miss out on this, or maybe the youngsters today are doing this. For the first couple of months, it is okay to go absolutely crazy. So spend on things that you really wanted to. You suddenly have this financial independence. So there may be certain things you want to do for yourself. So do it. But the point is, keep a timeline to it. So okay, I'll do this for a month or 2 or 3. But once that phase is over, then it's very important that we get intentional about money and have a plan. So a simple way to think about this is, let's say you have 100, which is, you said, 50,000 bucks. I think 50% can go towards your needs, maybe another 20% towards your lifestyle expenses, 20% can go towards your investments, and you keep 10% as your safety slash insurance, so that takes care of the rainy day situation. So this is a good way to get started. The important thing is developing that habit, so what is the habit we are talking about here? That you've just done a quick budgeting for yourself, and second is you have taken care of any kind of emergency situation. Third is you've actually started investing. So along with that, I think somewhere early on, it's very important for us to assess how much insurance we need. Definitely, health insurance is required by everybody. At 20, you may or may not need a life cover, so you assess that and move along. So at that stage, I think what we need is not a perfect financial plan, but just one, two, three, four steps, so setting the ball rolling, and it keeps rolling before you need to kick it again. So get a hang of your cash flow situation, have an emergency fund, get started with a bunch of investments that you understand and can make sense of, and make sure this happens every single month without your intervention.
That sounds doable. And I like how balanced that sounds because we also get to have fun at the same time. And we are also thinking about
Absolutely.
securing our financial future. So, but we were talking about savings. Saving sounds great in theory, but we are living in the age of stress scrolling, midnight food orders and shopping when we are feeling low. Plus, everything is on easy EMIs. Even you can buy clothes today on EMIs. And then there's this whole YOLO mindset, right? You only live once. So why to think about future? So how do you build those healthy, money habits without feeling that I am restricting myself?
Yeah, so let's face it, all of us are guilty of this. And I think YOLO isn't wrong, so you should enjoy your money for sure. But when can YOLO become a problem is when you don't have control over what really you're doing in terms of your spending, right? So the trick is not to restrict yourself, but the trick, like I said earlier, is to spend intentionally, right? Spend on things which truly matter to you, and you cut back on what doesn't. Also, I think somewhere it's important that you try spending on things which add value. It could be courses, books, experiences, even travel. So over time, you would notice that when you do this, the urge to binge or scroll spend on things you don't need will not feel as important or attractive anymore, right? The most important thing, though, I think, Himani, is to be able to automate your savings, because I think willpower is completely overrated, and Swiggy at midnight can feel very persuasive. I know that. So it's very important that we put our savings before our expenses. So we would have often heard of this equation that income minus expenses is saving. So I just want you to
Yeah.
flip it to income minus savings is expenses. So you pay yourself first, you put aside whatever is planned, and then whatever is left becomes guilt-free spending, so you go enjoy yourself and do what you want. So I think this balance is very important. It should not tilt in favor of either. So you equally enjoy your life. 20s is the age when you have to go out and experience everything, but don't compromise your future self, right? So make sure that you're keeping an eye out for the person you will become in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you need to do something there as well. So keep that balance, and I think it will hold you in good stead.
I think that's a very refreshing way to look at it and makes it, feel a lot less restrictive. But let's just, I'm zooming out a little from day-to-day habits. How does it all of this play in the long run? Because we are used to instant results. So why should a 23-year-old care about financial planning today? What really changes, after 10 to 20 years down the line?
I'm glad you asked this question. I think it's a very important question because everything around us today is built for instant results and instant gratification. Unfortunately, money doesn't work like that, right? What feels like small, very insignificant decisions in your 20s, like you're saving up a little, you're curtailing a little bit on the unnecessary spends, you're investing regularly, all these things will quietly compound over time, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of the habits, that you're building. So compounding, as we hear, is very powerful, but it needs time. And you know why we should start early? Why do we say that you're, as soon as you start working, please start setting some money aside? It's because when you do this, it is the time which is doing the heavy lifting and not you. Because you start in your 20s, you have enough and more time by the time you reach to those more important decisions in your life, which are going to require a lot of money, right? And beyond money, I think when you do this, it also creates choices for you later in life, so you want to take a break from job, you want to start something of your own, or in a situation where you've lost your job, you still have some kind of base ready, and you don't panic. So the earlier you start, the more choices you get for yourself, and choices actually give you freedom. So it's like small beginnings plus that early start will give you very big outcomes, I think.
I think that puts all the pieces together about what we've been speaking so far. Okay, so I feel we have covered the serious side of money, and let's switch gears a little and have some fun with this. So we'll
Sure.
do a quick rapid fire round. So no
I'll try
overthinking.
to keep it rapid, I don't promise.
So no overthinking, just your pure
Oh,
instincts. All right.
okay.
So my first question is, if money had a dating profile in your 20s, what would it say? Like emotionally available but highly attractive or anything else?
I'd say very attractive, but responds only to consistency and commitment.
That's a very good way to put it. And what's the most expensive, I'll figure it out later, decision people make in their 20s?
I will start investing when I have more money. I hear it all the time, and I hear it even from people in their 30s. Uh, so the point is, you don't start investing when you're rich, because you start investing, you get rich, right? So investing early, I think, is the absolute key, and you should not delay it.
True. So my next question is, in your experience, do people in their 20s invest more in stocks or in bad decisions and expensive brunches?
I think we have to be fair. We see both, and it is not fair to generalize either way. 20s, I think, are meant for experiences, and when you're out there experiencing things, you're bound to make some bad decisions. It's completely okay. According to me, the key is balance. So you do a little bit of this and little bit of that. So do your adventure and do have some sense of prudence as well. So balance it out.
I agree. And what's more dangerous, being in debt or believing that my salary will keep increasing, so I'll be fine?
Oh, that's a tough one. So being in debt or okay. So I think I'll go with the latter, that my salary will keep increasing all the time, because what that could do in terms of mindset is that you may tend to become complacent, you may tend to overspend, and you may tend to overcommit to things which then you can't keep up with later. Debt, on the other hand, is very visible. So, if you've got into trouble, you have a lot of liability, it keeps reminding you because it's very, very visible. But this nature of complacency, that I'll be okay because I'm earning, I think that is more dangerous one.
I completely agree with you. If FOMO had a price tag, what's the most expensive trend youngsters are falling for right now?
I think I'll not say youngsters, but I'd say public, general public at large. It is lifestyle inflation because of social media,
Hmm.
So upgrading your phones, upgrading your cars, going for fancy holidays, not because you want it, because everybody around you is, having it. I think that's probably the most expensive trend right now. It's like spending on things you yourself don't value to impress people who don't matter.
I
I
think
think it's
the
avoidable.
Yeah, I think the peer pressure is real. So someone is putting a story that they are in,
Yeah, yeah,
London or Europe. So
yeah.
you want to plan a trip. You also want to go there. So that's I think
And
there's a lot of
for all it may be a AI generated thing. You don't have to go to London today to take a picture of London.
yeah, that's a new thing that has come up. So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
All right. I think that was fun and also a little scary how real that all sounds. And I think that brings us to something very important because we were just talking about social media and AI. So, so far we have spoken about what to do and what to avoid. But when someone actually needs guidance and trustworthy guidance, where do they go? And how does a CFA professional really helps in making these decisions simpler for people in their 20s?
I think, like I said earlier, Himani, would have made a lot of difference to me if I had some amount of professional guidance. And, even then the question was, okay, who to reach out to, who is there selling products, and who will be able to give you advice. I think the right set of people to approach in this case is possibly, certified financial planners, because their whole mindset is to be able to help you see through life. It is just not about investing in this product or that, but it's actually understanding what your life goals are, who you are as a person, what kind of risk can you take, what life stage do you are in, and build a plan around that. So I think for us, in our practice, every prospect who approaches us, we pitch that you need to have a financial plan. And I think for every 10 clients, 9 have started with financial planning. And it's given us a very good hold on how is it we can help them. One, it's helped them get a big picture of their own life. Second is we've been able to get some right decisions with respect to their investments, insurances, so on and so forth. So I think don't be hesitant to seek professional advice. Don't be worried about the fees, because if you make mistakes, it's going to be far more costlier than the fee you pay to a professional. So just go ahead and approach. There are so many of us out there.
Right. I think I really resonate when you said that mistakes can cost you more than seeking a professional advice. I think, okay, the last one, I have a last question for you now. So, if you could sit down with a 21-year-old today, what are three things you would tell them about money?
Okay. So I think the first thing is to ask them to start investing, even if it's small. So people say, I earn only this much, I don't have any money. So then I cross question, do you have 500 rupees you can set aside? Yeah, I can set aside even 2000. So go ahead and start, right? So that to me is most important. It doesn't matter what amount you're starting with, but the fact that you start and develop that habit of saving will do really good for you in future. The second advice would be, don't try to be perfect. Just try to be consistent. Don't try to see, okay, is this a good time to invest in the market? Is this a good product to invest in? Should I do this or should I do that? The point really is, it is not critical at any point in time to have your most perfect plan. There is no such plan. You build it along the way, right? So the important thing is bring in consistency. So if you've committed that I will do SIPs for the next 10 years of this amount of whatever, the important thing is show up every single month irrespective of what's happening around you. So consistency, third, is more important, is important. The third thing I'd say is build a wholesome, fulfilling life. We get too drawn by either in the direction of I'm fine, I can do everything, I don't need to save, to another other extreme which says, yeah, I really have to save, I can avoid this. I think it's very important for us, especially in our early 20s, to spend some time with ourselves and see what are the things we truly enjoy doing. So, someone likes to party, so be it. Someone likes to travel, so be it. People are into spirituality now, so be it. The point is, what is it that makes you happy, right? And financial prudence is one such important thing which sure shot will guarantee you peace of mind and happiness, right? So while you do your life and do it to the best, just keep an eye out on, okay, I have to live another so many years, so I need to just make sure that I'm putting aside something for my future. So balance it out, have a great, fulfilling, wholesome life. At the same time, make sure that you make prudent money decisions, because it is a part of living that wholesome life.
I think that is something that everyone in their 20s needed to hear right now. And that brings us to close of this podcast. Thank you so much, Neeti,
Thank
for
you, Imani. I absolutely enjoyed doing this. Thank you so much.
I mean, you broke down this concept so simply and honestly, and this genuinely felt like the kind of conversations we wish we had earlier. And to everyone watching, if there's one takeaway, start small, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to ask the right questions. And connect with the CFP professional for guidance whenever you are in need. So thank you for tuning in to Money Talks I Wish I Had in My 20s, and we will see you soon.